Fire Princess Reviews. I'm Fire Princess Silly, here to talk to you about comics, cartoons, and other awesome nerd shit. So, today we're talking about Food Wars, also called Sogeki no Soma. I'm mispronouncing at least one of those words, and I know which one it is. So, we're just going to call it Food Wars for the sake of simplicity. I know I said that we're only going to talk about Third Plate, which is the third season of the show. Seeing as it's in its third season, I'm talking about it kind of late. You know, I don't know, it's kind of like how I don't talk about Steven Universe or even We Bare Bears because it's been out for so long. I'm only going to add basically another opinion of go watch it. And so, I don't know that I have a lot to say that other people haven't already said, but we're going to try anyway, right? So, if you haven't watched the show, you should watch the show, one. Two, kind of a spoiler warning here. I want to do my best not to spoil anything too massive, but I can't make an entire promise that that's going to be the thing. I might talk about something that happens that might be major, and it'll just be a part of my rambling, as you know I do. So that's where we're at. So spoiler warning here for possible spoilers. Let's talk about this show. What is it about? It's about Yukihiro Soma. He's a regular 15-year-old who works in a family restaurant with his dad. Yay! Every day they have food battles. Well, not every day, but they have food battles often in order to see which one is a better cook and to see how far along Soma has progressed as a chef. He's lost 489 times. Yikes. But he never gives up. He always is ready to take on the next battle, give the next dish, whatever. He's just very happy being a cook. He likes that. He enjoys it very much, and that's a good thing. However, his father, Saiba, isn't quite sure that that's what his son should be doing. Or more or less, he wants his son to broaden his horizons, especially after he asks Soma, what do you want to do after junior high? What's your plan? He's like, well, I'm just going to take over the family restaurant, all right? I mean, I don't really need to go to regular school to know how to, do that. I've already been working in here since I was a little kid, so I know how to run this restaurant, no problem. That's what I'm going to do. And so his father shuts the restaurant down to go on tour. On tour. It turns out his father is a world-renowned gourmet chef, and he's decided he's just going to travel for a few years. But what about Soma? What's Soma going to do? He sends Soma to an elite academy called Toski Academy. It is a school for cooking and meal prep, and it's an elite gourmet school for the talented, super talented. In fact, they start off at the start of the year with super huge classes and basically cut them down to size. It's said that the second year, the year before Soma's class, started out with over 500 students and was whittled down to 72 at the very end. So they're really cutthroat at this academy. Now, how is Soma going to fit in with the elite world of cooking, being that he's only worked at his family diner? Well, of course, his father is, as mentioned, a world-renowned gourmet chef and has taught his son tons of tricks and tips and how to cook in different styles of cuisine, like French, Italian, you name it, without actually saying, hey, we're going to cook this way. He's just given him techniques. In fact, a lot of the students make mention of the fact, why are you using this kind of technique? Have you ever been to France? This is a French cooking technique. French cooking is a big part of the show. I'm not certain why, more or less, but it is. Love to see some Mexican cuisine on the phone. Probably not going to happen. Mexican cuisine probably isn't very considered very gourmet. Anyway, not important. Kind of important. So, to me, it's important to me. So, yeah, it turns out that he actually has the skills to stand among all these elite students, despite what they may think of him. They don't like him very much. He's an outsider. He's already declared that he's going to use the rest of the student body as stepping stones on his way to the top because he has restaurant experience and they don't, and that makes him better. He's kind of cocky, but he's lovable in his own way. You get to kind of know his personality. He's silly and he's driven And sometimes it makes him say blunt stuff. That's just how it is. That's how some characters are. So, yeah. But on his way to the top, we haven't quite gotten to the top. So far, a lot of stuff happens, and we're going to talk a little bit about all that stuff that happens, and then we're going to go into third plate, which is what I initially promised. Like I said, I want to do my best not to do spoilers and whatever, but you've been warned that sometimes it just happens. But before we get into that, what do I think of the anime as a whole? Well, like I said previously, I think you should watch it, which means that I like it. And I don't know that if I should be making this video at all, more or less, because the show has been out for 3 consecutive seasons, and a lot of people have already put out what they feel about this anime, and I don't know that my voice is any different, or I can offer any kind of better insight, so I really, don't know. Like I said, I don't talk about We Bare Bears, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, or Steven Universe, even though I really love all those shows, because I don't know how my voice differs from the rest of the community, but I want to try anyway, at least with this particular show. So the animation quality is, of course, astounding. It's really good. I've been reading the manga because I'm super impatient when it comes to these sorts of things. I want that next episode, that next update immediately, and I've already caught up on the show, and so I'm reading the manga to get further ahead. That's who I am. So, sorry. So what is it about this anime that I like, other than the animation, other than the fact that the characters are really good? They're all really interesting characters. They all have very different personalities. Not one character is the same as another, even the character who copies everybody else. Their personality is different, and that's interesting too. I like it because at its core, it's a shonen anime, and I really enjoy the shonen genre. And it manages to be a shonen anime without the lasers and the punching and the fighting. I mean, fighting still happens, but it's done in a different way. It's done through food wars or sokagekis. Like I said, I am butchering that word, and I know I am. So, it said so much in the show, you think my ears would pick up on it, and I could pronounce it, but I can't. I just can't remember how they say it, so that's how that is. Anyway, so I like that that's kind of how they do the escalation, is through food. There's always a better cook. You're on your way to the top, so you're not the best, not yet. You're going to take some losses, and you're going to get better through your defeats. I like that kind of a story. You learn from your mistakes and get better that way. Sort of like with My Hero Academia, where Deku doesn't always win, Soma doesn't always win either. So he has to learn lessons through failure in order to make himself better. And that's kind of his theme, is he'll take lessons he learned from one dish and its failure and incorporate it into a different dish better. Sort of being like the ultimate sore loser, more or less. He's like, okay, so this dish didn't do good, but I have to make this dish now. So I'm going to take the good elements of this dish and add it to this dish, those practices and those targets and some of those things I used, and I want to make an even better and bigger and badder dish that's going to wow people. And it does work for him. He learns from his mistakes and he gets better. I like that. So there you go. The only failing I would say this anime has, and it's really its biggest hook, is also its biggest failing. I don't think it ruins it particularly as a show, but I don't know that I don't think it holds it back either. I don't know. It would be totally a different kind of show if it didn't have it. It's very ecchi. Like, it's never explicitly hentai or lewd. I mean, it's kind of lewd. But the food itself is apparently so good, or at least it's so good when it's made right, that it shows you visions of the clothes dripping off the people trying it, and them having basically flavorgasms in various different ways. It's interesting, but it's also like, I don't feel like it holds, like, it's weird how I feel about it, because I can't imagine the show without it, but at the same time, I wonder how the show would be without it. I guess that's not something anybody can separate in their line of thoughts from thinking about the show, but that's how I feel. Right, so stuff happens. So basically, there's an elite council of 10 students. They're basically the best cooks in the entire school, and that's how you get on the council, more or less. You have to have good grades, you have to have good win records in your food wars, and you have to contribute a lot, and that gets you seated in the council. So, one of these council members is Erina. I'm just going to call her Erina. Nakumi? Erina. She doesn't like Soma. She has what's called the God Tongue, which is silly as hell. She can discern what things are being used, right down to the smallest ingredient, all with her tongue. She has a superior sense of taste. She doesn't like Soma because she thinks he is, low class, garbage, doesn't like him. And basically, for the first season, every time he's kind of getting into one of these food wars or food battles, it's sort of because he's clashing with her. Like, Erina wants to shut down the Food Bowl Society, and someone wants to learn from the Food Bowl Society, so they clash, and he defeats basically one of her underlings that keeps it open. Spoiler. But that's kind of how the first season goes. A little. I mean, there are other things that happen. There's like a big training camp where she still wants him to fail, and she's even set up next to him, so her cooking does kind of hinder him a little bit. It's kind of, they were just set up there by the school. It's not like she planned it. But that's the point of kind of the first season, is him overcoming more or less her downward view of him. Her view of him doesn't really change until about the third season anyway, but it's really prevalent in the first season that she doesn't like him. So we're just going to ignore that because I've already re-recorded. So anyway, shut up. Anyway, second season is about Soma overcoming his own style of cooking and trying to reach new heights and new ideals and that sort of thing. There's a big thing called the autumn selection. People who were chosen, more or less, if they did good at the training camp. Soma makes it pretty far, but he doesn't win the thing. Spoiler. See, told you. I'm trying, but you gotta kind of talk about this. And he realizes that he still has a long way to go, and he's happy that he's at the academy because he wouldn't learn about these different kinds of cookings, or that there's other people that are just as skilled as he is, more or less, yada, yada, yada. Third season is different. I mean, there's another kind of training camp thing that happens in the second season, but the third season, really different. It's the start of the Moon Festival, and it kind of starts out, this is going to be another kind of season of the same stuff that we saw in the last two seasons, and that's fine. I'm happy to watch that. I really like that. But then, Erina's dad, who was banished from Toski for being basically the biggest dickhead in the world, he shows up. He takes over the joint using the Elite 10. It's put to a vote. Basically, the Elite 10 have so much power in the school that if they all decide on something, or at least the majority of them decide on something, it happens. So, basically, in a vote of 6-4, they left Erina out of the vote. But in a vote of 6-4, they named her father the new director. And it's kind of like third season, while it starts out very similar to how the other seasons are, becomes this them versus him sort of scenario, because his ideal is there's only one way to cook, and that's how we're going to teach it. There's not going to be any more food wars. There's not going to be any more, basically fumbling around and hoping you get it right and making dishes based on what you want to do. You're going to follow these procedures. You're going to make this kind of food, and that's how we're going to save gourmet cooking. That's how we're going to save the world of gourmet cooking, is by practicing these ideals and only these ideals. And some, of course, and a lot of people take issue with that. And it's a big fight, and there's like a really big fight happening right now. I really don't want to get, I don't want to spoil it. It's so good. You should watch it. But that's what the third season's all about. It's sort of the new generation coming in and taking out the old generation and their weird way of thinking, which I enjoy. Especially because this guy is a total dick. He is a huge dick. And it turns out he knew Soma's father when Soma's father was at this cooking school. Spoiler. Damn it. I warned you. Anyway. It's good. It's a good show. I like it a lot. I've already said why I like it. The ecchi stuff doesn't bother me. It's kind of funny. I mean, it is a little distracting, but it doesn't, bother me completely. I would say watch it. I give it an 7.5 out of 10 as far as animes go. It's one of those I do look forward to watching, but if it didn't exist, I wouldn't know to miss it. I guess. I don't know. It's a good shonen series. So, right now, it's a battle between Soma, his friends, and the Elite 10 members that actually voted in Erida's father as the new director. It's a high-stakes battle, winner takes all sort of thing. I'm not going to tell you how they come to that. That's on you to watch and find out. And for you to find out how that happens. Now, I'm reading the manga, like I said, because I'm impatient. So I at least know how 3 of the matches so far turn out. And it's really cool and interesting. I really like it a lot. So yeah, that's it. That's it for this review. What are we going to talk about next? I'm not sure. Some days I don't know. But we're going to talk about something. Maybe citrus. Which, talk about ecchi. But anyway, I'm Fire Princess Lily. This has been Fire Princess Reviews, and until next time, love comics, love cartoons. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!